Hi everyone. This is going to be my delayed review of the book Mary Magdalene Revealed. And the reason it's so delayed is not because it's because I've kind of been avoiding the responsibility of having any kind of platform, let's be honest, for 5 years. Oops, time flies, time flies. But apart from that, um, I think it's the reason I'm making it right now isn't because I don't have other books to speak about. It's just that this one impacted my life in such a serious way that I have to pay my respects. And I'm gonna do it with this like lovely Zoom background going in the back because I'm feeling the vibes, I'm really just feeling the vibes. Um, so Mary Magdalene Revealed, as you might know, is a book by Meggan Watterson, and it talks about uh, the controversial figure that is Mary Magdalene, and you probably have heard about her in the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, because yeah, bloodlines be intriguing. But I'm not gonna get into the intrigue and that historical part of her very real story and struggle here. I'm just going to focus on how I connected with her, how her energy is very real and very alive, how that book shaped some of my future decisions in unconscious ways, even in situations that I didn't know I was relying on her for her help or wisdom, but consciously or unconsciously, she's been this kind of figure that I could lean on. Um, and her story contextualizes religious or spiritual teachings in a way that make it very real for women. When this book first landed in my lap, again, I wasn't expecting such a profound connection with it. I just wanted to kind of embrace feminine energy and and I was terrified of those things. I was terrified of being seen. I was terrified of standing in my power, of being receptive, of putting down my walls. What would that even mean? What would that look like? I had no conception. I had no idea. I was just a 24-year-old girl with like a lot of complicated questions, very few answers. And the best part about this book, especially how it's written by somebody who's very erudite and very well studied, of course, but it's written in a narrative form, which means that she's walking you through her own personal journey with the Magdalene, and how that energy, even though Mary Magdalene isn't alive today, that energy is very real and connecting with a lot of people and moving a lot of hearts. And I'm so grateful to Meggan Watterson that she was able to be a conduit of that, that she was able to put that down in a format that it wasn't unapproachable. It wasn't about distance or creating some kind of intimidation. It was simply about opening up the heart and allowing yourself to be seen by something a bit more ethereal, yet so close to you, yet willing to come down to your level, interact with you, and give you an assurance of your humanity. Because that's one of the principles I remember reading about that Mary Magdalene talks about in her gospel is fully human and fully divine, and seeing with the eyes of the heart, which I still don't know what they mean fully, obviously, because I'm learning, I'm growing. I don't have as much grace in moments as I always should, or composure, but I don't aim to be about those things. I just just want to be human. And a lot of us, in being human, we kind of bypass the humanity of it all, and in trying to bypass that, we just kind of make more of a mess for ourselves. So this book gave me strength because of one, its narrative form, where Meggan Watterson is not just talking about evidence or arguing with you. She's inviting you in to connect with Mary Magdalene the way she connects with her, and what exactly it is about this figure that enriches her. I personally found the story at a point in my time where I needed so many answers. My spirituality was shifting like faster than I could understand. My view of this world was changing fast too. I'd held tight to certain things, and in I would say in the 3 years preceding me finding this book, a lot had become uncertain for me, which is why I think spirituality has been something that I threw myself into. I just didn't have another option. And at that time, because I'm an adult survivor of childhood trauma of a very personal kind. What happens to people in these cases is that they actively suppress their memories or they have amnesia. And I had a similar thing happen to me. Those memories were buried and they were about to resurface. And what these books did, because, honor, respectability were deeply intertwined with my notions of what it meant to exist as a woman back then. I always felt like I wasn't right. My birth itself was inherently wrong. That's what I'd been born with, and that I was inherently a liability. But reading this book softened me up enough that I could begin making space to heal myself. In order to heal myself, I would have to acknowledge that I was violated a certain way. And when I did that, I'd had to hold space and give myself compassion and sympathy and not just see it as diminishment, that for example, this video today, if I'd held on to these beliefs from a prison from a prism of my old beliefs, talking about this on any kind of platform would be like, hey, I'm just telling you how damaged I am. I'm damaged goods. I'm not good for anybody. But that's not what my life's about. That's not what my inherent value as a human being is about. And this is something that the book makes very concrete, you know, because of the way that it's not just, first of all, Mary Magdalene's words from her gospel, whatever we have, whatever survived from the Nag Hammadi scriptures, they're already very, very moving and very profound. But Meggan Watterson having the insight on how to bridge the gap between something ancient and us in our very modern minds, our grief-stricken but avoidant modern minds. She was the perfect bridge. She had a levity to her, yet she was conveying this profound sense of adventure that she was on, and she was always taking us with her, even to the points where she was describing intimate meditations that she'd conducted. Um, and I respect that. There's something to be said about the quiet power of vulnerability. I myself have struggled with being seen as a feminine being. I mean, this sounds crazy to say because obviously I'm in a certain kind of body. I have long hair, but it's really just about what perception, especially the perception of others, can do to us over time. People really aren't aware that their words, actions, even their gaze sometimes can build up or tear down. unfortunately, I was never given that option of, people will slow down or people will understand. So I had to fortify myself. I had to become my own pillar. And a figure like Mary Magdalene, who, despite having lots of wisdom, her wisdom has survived centuries, yet she's called names. Um, they try to scrub her from the face of this planet, off the pages of history. She's made it here, and to be part of her story in any way, reading it, making a video on it, it's incredible. It gives you a sense of connectedness that you're not just talking about one woman, you're kind of talking about all women in some way because her erasure, how overlooked she is, how immediately everybody started tearing her down based on something related to sexuality. She's called a prostitute. That's relatable because when people don't understand a feminine being, or a feminine being's natural magnetism, the thing they resort to the most often is their sexuality. They weaponize that. Um, they make guesses, they make narratives around them. These narratives are often more revealing about the minds of those that construct them. And I needed that reminder. I needed that reminder before I could confront what had been haunting me since childhood. That just by existing, I didn't become sinful. Just by looking a certain way, I don't become poisonous, catastrophic, or I'm not inviting any kind of negativity by just embodying my natural joy and radiance. A lot of people still don't have this perspective, regardless of where in the world it is that they've been raised. And a lot of women move as if they're going to get permission from an external entity, maybe a family member, a mother, a father, which I fully support, I fully support the importance of family, but I also recognize that family, loved ones, and romantic relationships cannot fulfill you if you don't want to meet yourself, if you never want to know who you really are, if you never want to uncover your own destiny for yourself. No one else can replace that drive or ignite that fire in you. And Mary Magdalene is so important. Her energy pacified with me. It's almost like she calmed me down and took me under her wing some way. I realize this is a very personal kind of review, but it's been 5 years since I read this book. I definitely wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to talk about it in a way that was authentic and not really in a way that was impersonal, because that's not the energy coming from this. I do I do want to emphasize that if you're somebody who wants to lean deeper into feminine energy, explore what it means to connect with an entity that's not seeking validation from masculine pillars. I mean, Mary Magdalene's deeply loving and connected to a masculine pillar, but she's not seeking validation from it. And that little shift is enough to change, like 180 degree, do like a change, sorry, do like a create like a change in how you're receiving from that energy, how you're perceiving it, and how fast you absorb it. It becomes like a real life application very, very quickly. And well, if you've made it this far, please read the book. Please restore your faith. It might even speak to you and open up doors that you can't see yet, because it did do that for me. And think I'm gonna make more Mary Magdalene videos soon. Just from the heart, not really from a place of any authority. Thank you.